each object will have a data member, a set of data members, and a set of member function. What are data members? Data members are features of this object. And what are member function? They are functionality of this object. So what are the features of this object, customer? Customer has a account number, he has a balance associated with it, right? So also ATM machine is also an object. Okay, so what could be the possible data member associated with this ATM machine? Maybe a ATM number which uniquely identifies this ATM machine. Okay, so also you can mention the location, the address where this ATM machine is available. So these are all features of this object, ATM machine object. So also I have the third object. Now if you see the third object, it's not a physical object, it's a logical object, right? Okay, so now there are three objects here. Now let us see how these objects interact with each other. Okay, there is an interaction between this object. So how do they interact with each other? The first thing that the customer does is he inserts his ATM card, right? So what this object does? It executes a function. Which function does it execute? Insert ATM card. So what this function does? It accepts the ATM card and then it validates whether the card is valid or not. I cannot take my PAN card or Aadhaar card and insert in the ATM machine, right? So the ATM card has to be validated. Once the ATM card is validated by the ATM machine, what will the ATM machine do? The ATM machine will request for a PIN. So what will the customer do next? He will enter the PIN. So this PIN which customer enters has to be read by the ATM machine. So once the ATM machine reads the PIN, it sends the PIN for verification to the bank. So the bank verifies this PIN. If it is a valid PIN, it sends the acknowledgement back to the ATM machine saying that you can go ahead, this is a valid PIN. Now the ATM machine sends a request to select the appropriate option, whether you want to withdraw the money, whether you want to deposit the money, whether you want to check your balance. Okay, so all this option is shown to the user. So user now selects the appropriate option. So he wants to withdraw the money, so he selects the withdraw option. Once he selects the withdraw option, what will the ATM machine do now? It will request for the amount. So the user now enters the amount and this amount is sent by the ATM machine to the bank object. So what the bank object does now? It checks whether the amount that the user entered is less than his or her balance. If it is less than his or her balance, it acknowledges the ATM machine saying that the transaction is successful and it can now dispense the cash. ATM machine now requests the user to take his or her cash. So user now takes the cash and ATM machine requests the user whether he would like to continue with some more transactions, for which the user responds as no and the transaction terminates. And the ATM machine finally disperses the receipt for the transaction. So if you see this example, you see that the problem here was divided into objects. So first thing that we did to solve the problem was we identified the objects. The objects in this particular problem were customer, ATM machine and bank. Once we identify this object, we also find out what are the sequence of interaction that exist between these objects. So we also mention the data members and member functions that will be involved with respect to each object. Okay. So this is how we solve a problem using object-oriented approach. Let us now see what is the difference between a structural programming language and an object-oriented programming language using a tabular format. Let us now study the difference between a structural programming language and an object-oriented programming language. Now, if you consider a structural programming language like C, the focus is mostly on functions rather than on data. So, a structural programming language is divided actually into functions. Whereas if you consider an object-oriented programming language, the focus is on objects, or I can say the focus is on data rather than on functions or procedures. Rather than on functions or procedures, the focus mainly is on data. Okay, here the program is divided into objects, whereas in structural programming language, the program is divided into functions. A structural programming language uses a top-down approach. Now you'll ask me, what is this top-down approach? You remember I had already spoken to you about structural programming language, and I said that in a structural programming language, the main problem is divided into sub-problem, and these sub-problems are solved using functions. So if I consider a diagram like this, you see that the main problem is divided into sub-problem 1, sub-problem 2, 3, 4 till n. And these sub-problems are solved using specific functions. So it is using a top-down approach. Top-down approach. Okay, so you move from the problem to sub-problem, wherein the sub-problem are resolved using function. So this is a top-down approach of solving your problem. Whereas if I consider my object-oriented approach, I use a bottom-up approach. That means in bottom-up approach, I divide my problem into objects, and these objects collectively help me in solving my problem. If I can diagrammatically represent that scenario, I can show you this. If you see this diagram, I have divided my problems into object 1, object 2, object 3 to object n. And these objects collectively help me in solving my main problem. So I am using bottom up approach. I am not using top down approach, I am using bottom up approach. So the problem is solved by using the help of objects. So this is bottom up approach, and structural programming language uses top-down approach. The next difference is structural programming language is mostly unsecure, whereas an object-oriented programming language is secure. Why do I say this? It's because the data in a structural programming language is open for all. The local variables which you declare in the function, the global variables which you declare outside the function are all visible to the end users. Okay, so there is no way to hide this data from the users. Okay, that is why the structural programming language is unsecure. The data is not hidden. Whereas if you consider an object-oriented programming language, the data or the member function both are enclosed together in an object. So data is hidden here, and hence an object-oriented programming language is more secure than a structural programming language.